Who was the conqueror that made Napoleon look minor by comparison? History books barely mention his name, yet his empire vastly overshadowed that of the famous French ruler. What mystery surrounds this forgotten king's erased legacy? In this video, we'll reveal how one overlooked conqueror reshaped the world, challenging everything you thought you knew about history. We'll uncover the shocking truth about Timur, a ruthless leader whose brutal conquests left an indelible mark on civilization. Prepare to have your understanding of history turned upside down as we explore how this enigmatic figure's actions continue to influence our world today. Let's explore the vast empire of Timur, a ruler whose name has been largely erased from Western history books despite his immense power and influence. At its peak, Timur's empire stretched across 4.4 million square kilometers, more than twice the size of Napoleon's conquests. This forgotten empire encompassed modern-day Iran, Iraq, Turkey, and the Caucasus region. Timur's reach extended into Central Asia, including present-day Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, and Kyrgyzstan. His conquests also included parts of India, Syria, and even ventured into Russia. From the borders of China to the outskirts of Moscow, Timur's influence was felt across a vast swath of the medieval world. The strategic importance of Timur's empire cannot be overstated. He controlled key trade routes that connected east and west, including sections of the famed Silk Road. This gave him unprecedented economic power, allowing him to amass great wealth and resources. The fertile lands of Persia and Mesopotamia, along with the mineral-rich mountains of Central Asia, provided a strong economic foundation for his vast realm. Timur's military campaigns were remarkable in their scope and success. He defeated the powerful Ottoman Empire, capturing their sultan and dealing a blow that would take the Ottomans decades to recover from. His armies pushed into India, sacking Delhi and amassing enormous amounts of plunder. Even the Egyptian Mamluks, a formidable military force in their own right, fell before Timur's onslaught. Timur's achievements stand out even when compared to other famous conquerors. He accomplished his conquests with fewer resources and in a more densely populated and militarily advanced world than his predecessors. Unlike Genghis Khan, who had the vast steppes of Mongolia to draw upon for cavalry, Timur relied on his tactical genius and the loyalty of his troops to overcome often numerically superior foes. So why isn't Timur's name as well known as Napoleon's or Alexander's? The answer lies in a deliberate effort by European historians and rulers to minimize his importance. Timur's empire challenged the Eurocentric narrative of world history prevalent in the centuries following his death. European powers, eager to present themselves as the pinnacle of civilization and military might, found it inconvenient to acknowledge a Central Asian ruler who had achieved such dominance. Ottoman historians also played a role in downplaying Timur's achievements. The humiliation of their sultan's capture and the devastating defeat inflicted by Timur were events they preferred to gloss over. As the Ottoman Empire expanded and became a major power in its own right, it was in their interest to portray Timur as a barbaric invader rather than a brilliant strategist and empire builder. The suppression of Timur's legacy was further compounded by the fragmentation of his empire after his death. Unlike Alexander or Genghis Khan, whose empires continued in some form after their passing, Timur's realm quickly splintered. This made it easier for later historians to dismiss his achievements as temporary and inconsequential. However, the impact of Timur's conquests was far from inconsequential. His campaigns reshaped the political landscape of much of Asia and Eastern Europe. The power vacuum left by his dismantling of the Golden Horde allowed for the rise of the Russian principalities. His weakening of the Ottoman Empire provided a reprieve for the Byzantine Empire and, by extension, much of Christian Europe. Timur's approach to conquest and rule was unlike anything the world had seen before. His strategy was one of complete annihilation, earning him the chilling moniker, the Scourge of God. This title struck fear into the hearts of his enemies and potential adversaries alike. Timur's primary goal was total domination through destruction. Where other conquerors sometimes showed mercy or attempted to integrate conquered peoples, Timur left only devastation in his wake. His campaigns demonstrated absolute power and the consequences of resistance. When faced with opposition, Timur didn't simply defeat his enemies. He erased them from existence. Entire populations were massacred, buildings razed to the ground, and cultures obliterated. As one chronicler wrote, "Where Timur's horse's hooves trod, grass never grew again." This approach sent a clear message: surrender immediately or face annihilation. The psychological impact of Timur's brutal tactics was profound. His wrath swept like a cold, unforgiving storm over entire cities, leaving nothing but silence in its wake. As word of his method spread, many chose to surrender without a fight. This fear-based strategy allowed Timur to conquer vast territories with minimal resistance. The mere mention of his name often made enemies lay down their arms and open their gates. Timur's most notorious tactics included constructing towers from the skulls of his defeated enemies. In Isfahan, after its population revolted, he ordered the creation of these macabre monuments as a warning. The psychological impact of such displays was immense, serving as a constant reminder of the fate awaiting those who opposed him. His treatment of prisoners was equally horrific. After capturing 4,000 Armenian soldiers, he had them buried alive. In his invasion of India, he reportedly ordered the massacre of 100,000 Hindu prisoners before the Battle of Delhi, breaking the spirit of his opponents before the fight began. The long-term consequences of Timur's destructive conquests were devastating. Regions under his rule often took centuries to recover. The destruction of cultural centers, libraries, and seats of learning set back intellectual and artistic progress. Entire populations were wiped out or displaced, leading to long-lasting changes in the ethnic and cultural makeup of regions. While exact numbers are difficult to determine, estimates suggest that Timur's conquest resulted in a higher percentage of the world's population being killed than any other single conflict in history up to that point. Historians estimate his campaigns led to the deaths of approximately 17 million people, about 5% of the world's population at the time, a higher percentage than even the most devastating conflicts of the 20th century. The scale of Timur's brutality went far beyond the typical violence of medieval warfare, entering realms of cruelty that seem almost unimaginable today. His reign of terror left an indelible mark on history, serving as a stark reminder of the devastating power of unchecked ambition and ruthlessness. Timur's brutality wasn't limited to the battlefield. His true genius lay in transforming the very remains of his enemies into weapons of terror that would haunt generations to come. While other conquerors sought to rule through governance or assimilation, Timur understood the raw power of fear as a tool for control. One of Timur's most infamous tactics was the construction of massive towers and pyramids made from the skulls and bones of his defeated foes. These gruesome monuments served to demoralize any potential resistance and remind all of the fate that awaited those who dared to oppose him. The most notorious of these macabre structures were erected in Baghdad following Timur's conquest in 1401. After capturing the once great capital of the Abbasid Caliphate, Timur ordered the systematic collection of skulls from the tens of thousands he had slaughtered. His soldiers stacked these human remains into towering pyramids, some reaching heights of over 20 feet. Imagine walking through the streets of Baghdad, the air thick with the stench of death, and coming face to face with these towers of bone that stood as monuments to despair. The empty eye sockets of thousands of skulls staring blankly, many belonging to friends, family, and neighbors. The psychological impact of these monuments was profound, instilling a deep-seated terror that lingered long after Timur's departure. But the terror did not stop at monuments. Timur employed other grisly tactics to spread fear and cement his reputation as an unstoppable force. In some conquered cities, he ordered the construction of walls using living people as mortar, embedding them between bricks and stones. The agonized screams of the dying echoed through the streets, a horrifying soundtrack to Timur's conquest. Timur also used captives as human shields. Before attacking a city, he forced thousands of prisoners to march ahead of his army, presenting defenders with an impossible choice. These extreme measures set Timur apart from other historical conquerors. While figures like Genghis Khan or Julius Caesar were known for their brutality, few matched Timur's systematic use of terror as a tool of empire building. His methods were calculated to break the spirit of entire populations and regions. The impact of these tactics on Timur's reputation was profound and lasting. In the lands he conquered, his name became synonymous with destruction and fear. Stories of his brutality spread far and wide, often preceding his armies and causing cities to surrender without a fight. Perhaps the most striking example of Timur's cruelty was his treatment of captured Ottoman Sultan Bayezid I. After defeating the Ottoman forces in 1402, Timur had an iron cage constructed and forced Bayezid to live in it, parading him around like a captured animal. While Timur's terror tactics made him an effective conqueror, they also contributed to the fragility of his empire. The fear-based control he established didn't foster loyalty or stable governance. Instead, it created a powder keg of resentment and trauma that would explode after his death, leading to the rapid disintegration of his empire. History is shaped by those in power, and when it comes to Timur, his significance has been carefully downplayed. Powerful forces have worked to erase this formidable figure from our collective memory, like an editor crossing out inconvenient truths from a history book. The complex interplay of politics, culture, and the preservation of European dominance explains this historical cover-up. As European powers ascended on the world stage in the centuries following Timur's death, they promoted a narrative of Western superiority. Timur's achievements challenged this narrative in several ways. His empire's vast size and rapid expansion rivaled or surpassed those of celebrated European conquerors. His military prowess was undeniable, and he represented a non-European leader who had successfully dominated vast swathes of the known world. European historians and rulers employed varied and subtle methods to minimize Timur's role in history. Some omitted him entirely from their accounts, while others portrayed him as a barbaric anomaly rather than a skilled military leader and empire builder. His achievements were often attributed to luck or circumstance rather than strategic brilliance. Ottoman historians also contributed to this historical revisionism. The humiliating defeat and capture of Sultan Bayezid I at Timur's hands was a dark chapter in Ottoman history. Subsequent Ottoman rulers and chroniclers diminished Timur's legacy, portraying him as a temporary setback rather than a pivotal figure who had nearly ended their empire. This selective approach to history has had far-reaching consequences. Our understanding of geopolitical dynamics in the 14th and 15th centuries has been skewed, leading to a Eurocentric view of world history. The complex interplay between Central Asian, Middle Eastern, and European powers during this period has been oversimplified. Moreover, the suppression of Timur's story has deprived us of valuable lessons in military strategy, empire building, and the cyclical nature of power. His rise from a minor noble to the ruler of a vast empire offers insights into leadership and ambition that remain relevant today. The erasure of Timur from popular historical narratives reflects a broader pattern of historical revisionism. It serves as a stark reminder that the history we learn is often curated to serve specific agendas. This realization raises important questions about what other significant figures or events might have been minimized or erased from our historical understanding. In recent years, there has been a growing interest in uncovering these hidden histories. Scholars and researchers are increasingly challenging traditional narratives seeking to provide a more comprehensive and nuanced view of the past. This reevaluation of history has real-world implications for how we understand global power dynamics, cultural interactions, and the roots of current geopolitical tensions. The treatment of Timur's legacy stands in stark contrast to how other non-European conquerors have been portrayed. Genghis Khan, for instance, while often depicted as brutal, is generally acknowledged for his military genius and the lasting impact of the Mongol Empire. Timur, despite his comparable achievements, has been largely relegated to obscurity. In 1941, Soviet archaeologists made a discovery that would coincide with one of history's darkest chapters. The tomb of Timur, the fearsome conqueror, was opened in Samarkand, Uzbekistan. Inscribed on the tomb were chilling words: "Whoever disturbs my tomb will unleash an invader more terrible than I." As the archaeologists peered into the ancient crypt, they unknowingly set in motion a chain of events that would blur the line between fact and legend. Just 3 days after the tomb was opened, Adolf Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest military invasion in history. This massive assault on the Soviet Union would ultimately claim over 25 million lives and change the course of World War II. The eerie timing of these events sparked intense debate. Some viewed it as mere coincidence, while others saw it as the fulfillment of an ancient curse. It was as if an ancient Pandora's box had been flung open, releasing unfathomable horrors upon the world. The Soviet archaeologists, led by Mikhail Gerasimov, had been tasked with studying Timur's remains to gain insights into the legendary ruler's appearance and life. They couldn't have anticipated the global consequences that would unfold in the wake of their excavation. Adding another layer of intrigue was the historical context of the tomb's opening. The Soviet Union, under Joseph Stalin's leadership, was actively promoting scientific atheism and discouraging superstitious beliefs. The decision to open Timur's tomb was part of a broader effort to demystify historical figures and promote a rationalist worldview. Yet, the timing of Hitler's invasion seemed to challenge these very principles. Timur's legacy has long been associated with other myths and legends. Some Central Asian traditions claim that his spirit continues to protect the region from invaders. Others believe that his tomb holds mystical powers that can influence world events. These beliefs reflect the enduring impact of Timur's reign on the collective imagination of the regions he once ruled. The alleged curse of Timur's tomb isn't unique in history. Many ancient tombs and artifacts have been associated with supernatural phenomena. However, the scale and immediacy of the events following Timur's tomb opening set it apart. The invasion of the Soviet Union by Nazi Germany was a pivotal moment in World War II, forever altering the geopolitical landscape of Europe and Asia. In the decades since, the story of Timur's curse has taken on a life of its own. It has been the subject of numerous books, documentaries, and fictional adaptations. The narrative challenges us to consider how the past can shape our present in ways we might not fully understand or appreciate. Whether one believes in its supernatural aspects or not, the curse of Timur's tomb serves as a powerful reminder of the complex interplay between history, myth, and contemporary events. It highlights the enduring power of historical figures to capture our imagination and influence our interpretation of world events. We've uncovered a hidden giant of history, Timur, a ruler whose empire and brutality surpassed even Napoleon's. Yet his name has been deliberately erased from our collective memory. This revelation challenges our understanding of the past and the figures who shaped it. History isn't just facts, it's a narrative shaped by those in power. By suppressing Timur's story, European and Ottoman rulers altered our perception of world events. This should make us skeptical of the historical accounts we've been taught. What other forgotten conquerors or world-changing events await rediscovery? If you believe history is more than textbooks, join us in unraveling these hidden truths. The answers lie buried beneath layers of propaganda and selective memory, waiting for us to uncover them and reshape our understanding of the world.